Yes, hello everyone. My name is Isabella Minter. I am a faculty member here at TKS. I am currently coming to you out of Manhattan, and I began my journey here at TKS in the fall of 2024. I have been lucky enough to do a teacher training program with Terry and faculty. So I have been working with them alongside them for the past almost 2 years now. And I have been studying the Meisner technique since I was a wee lass in college. So it's been almost 10 years. The first about 7.5 years, I was studying it as an actor. So I am well versed in the actor side of things, and now I have had the lovely opportunity to work on the teacher side of things. So I've learned it in a technical realm, so I can help you all make yourselves better, more organic, honest, compelling, truthful actors. And I'm very excited. Marina, was there another question?
That was it for now. There's going to be more
Okay,
questions, so don't worry.
I love it. Beautiful. Okay, that's it.
And if you want to pass it to one of our students.
May I pass it to Anna? Pass the popcorn to Anna.
Hi, I'm Anna. I'm coming to you guys from Brooklyn Heights. I originally started the online intensive when I still lived in Las Vegas, and now I'm hybrid. So I have my acting class online and I have a few classes in person. But yeah, that's a little bit about how I'm working with Terry. But the reason why I started actually um, was I did a little bit of research on the school and I found out some really cool stuff online. I was able to talk to and sit down with Marina, which was absolutely amazing. And Marina was genuinely an amazing insight. Like if you guys have any like questions or concerns, reach out to her. She's a very lovely person.
Oh, no. Thank you.
Marina.
Anna is
Sorry.
doing the full 2 years, starting with online. So that's like definitely a route that you can take, which is cool. But yeah,
I
thank
also go by she, her. So sorry. I forgot my
you.
pronouns.
Good. You're good. And last but not least, Trent.
Hey, my name is Trent Doll, and I'm an actor, and I found TKS because I was doing a short film with somebody, and she was just way better than I was, and I was like, what are you doing that I'm not doing? And she said I went to TKS, so I checked it out, and I knew that Meisner would be good for me because I took it in college, but we only have this introductory course, and I had like one of the most amazing experiences of my life in that little introductory course. So I was like, this is going to be good for me, and it has been. So I'm really happy to be here.
Trent. And Anna and Trent are currently in level 2 of the online intensive. So we break it up into 3 levels. Everybody starts at the beginning, even if you've been acting for many, many years and you have technique, because your teacher doesn't know where the holes are in your acting. So in order for them to really be able to help you and give you the most comprehensive toolbox as an actor, we all start with day one with that repetition. You're wearing a white shirt, I'm wearing a white shirt, and we build on that. So we're going to get to see a little bit today of that early work. And like I said, you can do all 3 levels online. You can do level 1 in person and then 2 and 3 online. And then the second year in person. There's a lot of routes. So Anna says I'm great, which is very nice. And you can see that for yourself if you want to book a meeting with me and we could talk about what works for you and what's the best path because I think everybody's different and we don't believe that there's like a cookie cutter, one size fits all training route for actors. We think that folks, we're all unique and we're all dealing with the world in different ways. And we want to make sure that we can meet you where you're at and also give you the best, most comprehensive training that you can get. So with that, I'd love to get into some questions for my teacher and students here. And my first question is, Isabella, if you can tell us a little bit about what happens in this first intensive, so this level 1. What can students expect without giving away all the secret sauce?
Without all the secret sauce, yes. All 23 ingredients in the Dr. Pepper. So these first levels for this class are the first 18 classes of the progression. So, like Marina said, we'll have that first year online for you all, level 1, level 2, and level 3. This first level is going to be the first 18 classes. So this is going to introduce you to the idea of repetition and how we use that as a listening tool and a responding tool. This is a way for you all to be able to kind of take the second guessing of yourself out of your own mind. And this is for you to jump on your impulses more so. So within that first 18 classes, we'll move into repetition, then we'll move into activity work. So this is about crafting things that you find difficult but not impossible, and you're able to continue the repetition exercise while also doing. Because one of the lovely things about this work, and Meisner said it beautifully, is that acting is living truthfully under imaginary circumstances. We tweak it a little bit to make it where we're doing truthfully under imaginary circumstances, right? So we're going to be learning how to really do. We're going to be learning how to really listen and respond to our partners without second guessing ourselves. Again, without that little bird, bird in your brain that goes like, "Oh, is this the right thing to do?" We're gonna help kind of work through those things. And then by the end of the 18 classes, we'll actually be working on a scene. I won't give away all the secret sauce for the scene because the scenes are very fun and they're not the normal way you probably have worked on a scene, like in a scene study class. This is a much different approach to actually how to use scenes and how to use text to filter your own impulses and not be so worried about. But they say can instead of cannot. They say can't. We have to make sure we get all the words right. The words are important, but so is our impulse of what's going on truthfully in the moment. Um, yeah, that's the first 18 classes for the level one.
Yeah, first 18 classes, I dropped those dates in there, and that's all on Zoom. So I'm gonna go to our students now, and then I'll come back to you, Isabella. Anna and Trent, can you tell us a little bit about what you gained from just level one of the intensive? You can talk about like now you're in, I don't know how deep you're in level two. You're like, are you about a month in? Is that right?
That's about right.
Okay, share with me a little bit about, now you've done an entire section and a month of level two. What have you gained as actors in this online intensive?
I'm coming at this as my primary source of income is as an actor. I've been doing it professionally for a decade, and when you've been doing something that long, the only way to get better is just to go back to the very beginning and see if you're doing something wrong in the very basics, right? And it just turns out I was. Like, I think I've been telling people that I feel like I'm acting for the first time. What I mean by that, because I'm not trying to make this thing seem like this is like the end all be all, but it really has been. It's been extremely good for me because now I'm doing instead of pretending to do. And I always knew that that's what you were supposed to do, but I never knew. I think I had never worked out the muscles to work on that. And then I am my imaginary life is finally actually affecting me emotionally, which it had never done before. So those are the two big things that are really changing. I just did the best audition for a commercial I had ever done because I wasn't faking anything anymore. I was just doing it. I was like, okay, good. So yeah, it's been really nice.
Thank you, Trent. Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. I love what you said. I put it in the chat, doing instead of pretending to do. I think that really, Meisner would be so proud if he heard you say that because that's really what his goals were. And he felt like, there wasn't really an organized progressive way to learn how to do that because acting's a muscle, right? Like we learn by doing this thing over and over again. Like you get better at running and you get faster and strong. I'm not a runner, but I assume you get better and faster and stronger when you do it more. And it's the same with this technique. And you're building these tools that you can take with you to when you have auditions. And I'm so happy to hear that that's been transferable for you. So I'd love to hear also from you, Anna, a little bit about your experience and what you've gained. And I know you came from a slightly different place. You started at a university and then started this work with us a little bit later. Tell us how that's been for you so far.
Yeah. So I started at a different university and I started not necessarily with Meisner. I started with I had teachers with different techniques, different backgrounds. And with being at TKS, being able to stick with not just Meisner, but with the teachers there, I'm getting a better understanding of what it's like to actually live in the imaginary circumstances. Kind of like what Trent was saying. It's a lot different from doing and pretending and actually feeling it. And it's really weird to connect the emotional life to the imaginary, but how beautiful and vibrant it is when you actually connect it, because it's like a switch. Sometimes there's days that it doesn't connect because we're still learning and adapting, but then it's so rich and almost like, I don't know how to say like exactly explain it, but creating the imaginary circumstances connecting with real life is not only rich, but like almost to feel self-indulgent. It's really shaped the way that I think about acting and the way that I think about text as well. Like when it comes to reading plays and adapting something to when it's myself and my own, it's completely different from what I used to do.
I love that. Yeah. And something you said that resonated with me is that you're not gonna always get it right. There are gonna be days where it's just not clicking and you're getting it wrong much more than you're getting it right. I'll unspotlight you guys so that you're not staring at yourselves. And I think that's kind of the magical thing about class, about this class especially. We want you to fail beautifully. We want you to get it wrong because this is a safe and brave space to do that. You are not filming, you are not on stage, you're in class, and the idea is to take risks as big and as boldly as you can so that you get all of this practice in. And then when it is the real deal, when you are, on set or you are on stage, you've figured out like what works and what doesn't work. You've gotten it wrong a lot and you've gotten it right a little bit. And it's about getting it right slowly more and more and more. And that's, I think, what's so great about this is like we're in class, we're able to really take risks together. And the teachers celebrate that. And they also will tell you, hey, this is not working. Let's talk about this. Let's figure out what's happening here. It's not just they see your work and then we move on. Like it's a conversation constantly. And I think that's really great for the learning. I'd love to hear, Isabella, I have one more question for you and then we're gonna get into some repetition. You already kind of talked a little bit about this. I mean, you've been doing Meisner for most of your life. Why like there's so many techniques out there. There's so many ways to act. Why Meisner and why do you think this technique really works for actors?
So I'm going to take you guys back to high school, 2014, 2013. But there was a show that I was doing, and like Trent, I was doing a lot of pretending and I was doing a lot of like, the tear sticks and was like rubbing them under my eye. Um, and there was just this one rehearsal where I really allowed myself. I don't know what changed. I don't know if I just got a good night's sleep or like I ate a hearty breakfast or something. But I just went into rehearsal that afternoon and really allowed myself to be like, what if this was real? Like, what if this really happened in the imaginary circumstances? What if this circumstance was real to me? And it was the first time that I had all of this beautiful life inside of me, behavior. I was unknowingly at the time listening and responding to my scene partner. Granted, we're like 14. I was like, I'm too young to be understanding how to do this. And it was the first time that I had walked out of a rehearsal space and felt like, oh my God, one, I feel so alive. And I feel like this is something that I actually really, really enjoy. And so I looked into it. I was like, what is this technique? Like, when you're on stage and you're doing this and this, like the things that we learn, the basic fundamental things in Meisner, when you're like listening to your partner and you respond truthfully, what does that do? And just this big old picture of Meisner with his glasses on popped up on Google. And I was like, wow, okay, this guy might be onto something. And so I looked into colleges and then I found the college that I am the alum of, Columbus State University down in Georgia. And they had a 2-year Meisner Conservatory program. And I applied and got in, and from there it was just like no looking back. And during my time there, I found all of these parts of myself that I still work on because I'm like, oh my gosh, there are these things that I didn't realize about myself. There are these things that are deeply important to me, or things that are not so deeply important to me, that I found through the work, but also that's the life aspect. In the work aspect, I have never been so in tune with another person than I was at that time doing the work with my classmates. Every moment, there was no moment that slipped by. Um, so all of that to say, I think the reason why I believe that this technique really works, really genuinely works from the bottom of my soul, is that when you get into a commercial audition, you get on stage for the first time, you're on set, even if you are interviewing for a job, you are so much more open and you're so much more in the realm of being able to see what is really happening in front of me and listening and responding to your own impulses without second guessing yourself. One of the things that we'll talk about, especially in these first 18 weeks, is this idea of how does that make you feel? And you have to take a second to really like kind of figure that out sometimes. Sometimes you have to repeat back and forth between you and your partner to really realize, oh, they really pissed me off, or I'm actually quite endeared to what they said, or whatever the case may be. And these tools allow you to do that. You get the muscles, like Marina said, you get these muscles in real time. You're working on these things so that when you get into the audition room, you get on set, again, you're on stage, you don't have to second guess yourself. You just are flowing moment to moment, ping pong game, back and forth between you and your partner on stage,
I love
on
that.
set in a commercial. Um, I genuinely, I've never seen another technique that is so focused on you and the other person, the I and the thou, the back and forth that you are experiencing together. And it's extremely powerful when you really are feeling it for the first time. You're like, what? There's another person here. It's not just me.
Right. And that's so important what you just said because acting doesn't happen in isolation. It's
No.
always with a partner. It's always with another person. And so often, I mean, Trent, you did this commercial audition. I mean, you're probably alone in your room. Maybe you had someone reading for you, but like you're looking at a camera and like we have to learn how to do this alone when we're auditioning, but acting must be with another person, which is why like we get a lot of inquiries for coaching. People want to coach. And Terry always says the only reason you should be coaching is if you have a big audition or if you're working on something and you're really feeling stuck. Coaching to learn how to act isn't going to give you the same effect as actually being in class. Because in this work, you're with another person, you have a partner all the time. There's no time that you're going to be working in class alone. A partner is always doing it with you, and I think that's really important. So we're about to see some repetition. I have one more question. Also, I think everyone's here for the online intensive, but if anyone's here and they're curious about the in-person intensive, drop that in the chat too, because I'll say some words about that. That starts this Monday in a few days, and we have I think two more spots left for acting and a few more spots left for the movement and the voice. But I want to ask just before we go on, because this is a question I get a lot since we started doing the online intensive. Anna and Trent, can you tell me a little bit about working online? Because I think a lot of people are like, ah, I don't want to do that. Like we had to do COVID online for so many years. Like what has that been like for you? What's the experience been? And do you feel like, you're getting a lot out of this or I don't want to, that's a leading question, but like, what do you feel like? Are you able to get enough out of the online work? Like, tell me about that.
Yeah. Oh, Trent, do you
You
want
go.
to go
You
first?
go ahead, Anna. You're
There you
good.
go. You're both spotless. Go for it.
Um, well, what I can say about getting stuff out of the online work, I tend to be a bit of a shy person. It gives me a little bit more range to be vulnerable and to be open, but also it takes a little bit more time to connect to your partner. it gets a better understanding of another person that's far away. It can help out not just necessarily with like online auditioning, but if you ever want to practice with someone, or if you're doing um, anything that has to be from afar, it strengthens not only your relationship with the partner, which it could be for a minute, it could be for a day, it could be for a week. Um, but it also helps with knowing how you are and kind of building and adapting for auditions, acting, theater, stage, um, TV, movies, especially like when you are in like TV or in movies or shorts. It's a camera in your face. Sometimes it feels a little isolated. How do you feel when you're yourself in front of something that's kind of just staring back at you and it's not necessarily a person?
Mm, I hear that. Thank you, Anna. Trent, tell us a little bit about your experience.
Yeah, I think Anna's spot on. So, I mean, I will, obviously there are some things that are just going to be like cooler in person, especially the
Yeah.
listening and the doing, because because, when you're in person with somebody, you can feel their pheromones and stuff, like, obviously. But Anna is so right that there are actually some weird, unique advantages of doing it online, which is that it makes you work the imaginary muscles of okay, I have to imagine somebody's coming into my room, even though I'm seeing them on a screen. Okay, it works that imaginary muscle, and you end up getting really good at working that muscle, and then you end up getting really good at operating and doing in real life, even though there's a camera watching you. Both of those are really great advantages. I think she's spot on.
Thank you. Thank you guys. That's awesome. Yeah, and like I'm not gonna lie to you guys, like in person is probably like 2% better, but this is like nine, and that's only because, like Trent said, you're not physically in the room. But what we think is great about the online intensive, it offers flexibility for folks who can't be here physically in person in New York. We know New York is expensive. Maybe you want to do the full progression that's 128 classes, so you could save up for the second year. And yeah, it develops some additional skills that you don't get in person, of this like idea of, being able to really truthfully self-tape, which is what all auditions are now since COVID. But yes, I just saw a question in the chat, in my private chat, second level online. So let me be clear about first, second, third levels. That's a full first year. So levels 1 through 3 would give you the full first year, which is about 62 classes. Levels, and then there's no additional online. Like if you want to do the second year, that has to be in person because that's all scene work, and we just think that's better in person. So you can do also the summer intensive or the spring intensive in person, and then do levels 2 and 3 online as well. So that's another really good option. And it's a little confusing to explain. So if this is something you're interested in, I recommend booking a conversation with me or my assistant Gracie, and we can talk you through it. But yeah, there's options. And if you are looking at our summer intensive in person or our spring intensive, that's only level 1, and it's the exact same thing we're doing on Zoom. Like you can drop into a class 6, and a class 6 in person and on Zoom will be the same, except we're on Zoom. So what you're going to see, what you're about to see with a repetition, is going to be the same in person versus on Zoom. So with that being said, actually, I don't want to, I want to make sure if anyone else has any burning questions before we get into repetition, and we'll have some time for questions at the end. Is there anyone who has a question right now before we get into this? You're welcome to drop it in the chat, or you can come off mute. Should be able to come off mute. Or I might be doing such a good job that you don't have any questions. Gabe,
Oh, I was sorry. Can I
that's
ask?
okay. Please.
Yeah, so I signed we actually talked at the
Yeah,
beginning of this year.
I remember
I already
you.
I already signed up for the summer
Hell
intensive.
yeah. I'm excited to
Um,
have you.
can't wait to get the schedule for that. I haven't got anything yet, but
You're gonna, don't
um
worry. We're almost done with the summer intensive
okay, cool,
now.
cool.
So we're gonna have it
So
by the end
yeah,
of this month.
that's done. I'm gonna be there. But continuing, I'm on the West Coast, so like
Yeah,
right now traveling to do the 2 full year is kind of hard. So I'm
totally.
wondering like after I do the summer intensive, could I come in at like the second level of the online
Yeah.
fall or whenever it's offered again?
Yes,
That was it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be offered in the fall. So level 1 is going to be in March. And this is kind of a funky time to do a level 1 because We don't have a level 2 and 3 right after. Just there's not enough time to do it before the fall. So if you do the summer intensive and then you want to continue the work online, you can absolutely do that in the fall. And then if you wanted to join the second year, which you don't have to, but that would be in person the following fall. So levels 2 and 3 are a little bit longer. They're not 18 classes. They're about 22 or 23 classes. I think they're about 122 and 123. And that happens twice a week. We typically do them in the afternoon, so they work for West Coast and for like Europe and Asia. But yeah, that's definitely an option. So once you do the summer intensive, if you're ready to move forward with that, we can talk about that then. Awesome.
Cool, thanks.
Thanks. Any other questions before we go into some repetition? All right. Y'all are ready. Anna, Trent, and Isabella, are you ready? Isabella, tell us a little bit about what we're about to see here.
So, what we will do first, Anna and Trent as well, this is just to kind of get some clarifying. We'll jump in to the first form of the repetition. So, just objective. Um, Trent, you're wearing a black shirt. Anna, you're wearing a sweater situation. So this exercise is a repetition exercise. So the meat and potatoes of the repetition exercise is listening and responding, right? And you're not just responding, just, yeah, my I have a brick background situation. You're actually responding from your impulses, right? So this first form of the exercise is much more about hearing your partner, listening to what they have to say and how they say it, and then moving into how you would respond in this scenario, right? In this exercise. So we'll go ahead. We'll start off with just with that first like totally objective form of the exercise, Anna and Trent. And then I might pause you guys, and then I think we'll move into a little bit more subjective, um, you know, how they're making you feel, how you're responding to what they're doing situation. That all sound good? Okay, try and just make sure you're unmuted.
Happy. Thanks.
Happy, thank you. All right, my friends. So again, this form of the exercise, this very beginning bones of the repetition exercise, is just to get you observing your partner, right? It's to get you to see the whole picture of what you're seeing. The objective is going to be about things that cannot be argued, right? Like Trent is wearing a black hoodie. We can all agree what that is. Um, so yes, this first part is going to be just totally objective, and then I'll pause them, and then we'll move on to something that's a little bit more in line with kind of what I was talking about a bit earlier about your impulses and responding. All right, goobies, whenever you're ready, you guys. And try to just take a second. I want to just take a second, really look at each other for a moment, find some things that maybe that pique your interest, and I won't choose who starts, but whoever has the first impulse, just whenever you're ready.
You've got a shiny spot on your forehead.
I have a shiny spot on my forehead.
You got a shiny spot on your forehead.
I have a shiny spot on my forehead.
You got a shiny spot on your forehead.
I have a shiny spot on my forehead.
That surprised you, didn't it?
That did surprise me.
That surprised you, didn't it?
That surprised me, didn't it?
That surprised you, didn't it?
You look amused.
I look amused.
You look amused.
I look amused.
Was that shocking?
Was that shocking?
Was that shocking?
Was that shocking?
Anna,
No.
remember, if do you think he looked shocked?
A little bit, yeah. You looked a little
Yeah.
shocked.
I looked a little shocked.
You looked a little shocked.
I looked a little shocked.
Yeah, you looked a little shocked.
I look a little shocked.
Now you look a little puzzled.
I look a little puzzled.
Do you feel puzzled?
Do I feel puzzled?
Do you feel puzzled?
Do I feel puzzled?
Do you feel puzzled?
Do I feel puzzled?
Do you feel puzzled?
Well,
Ugh,
Trent, do you?
I don't feel puzzled.
You don't feel puzzled.
I don't feel puzzled.
You don't feel puzzled.
I don't feel puzzled.
You don't feel puzzled.
No, I felt skeptical.
You felt skeptical.
I felt skeptical.
You felt skeptical.
I felt skeptical.
You felt skeptical.
I felt skeptical.
Trent, what
If
is
I'm
Anna's face doing right there?
And now
I
I'm
saw you
seeing,
notice it.
yeah, I'm seeing some puzzlement in your face.
now you're seeing some puzzlement in my face.
Yeah, I'm seeing puzzlement in your face.
Yeah, you're seeing puzzlement in my face.
Yeah, seeing puzzlement in your face.
Yeah, I guess I'm a little confused.
I guess you're a little confused.
Yeah, I guess I'm a little confused.
You're seeming freer. You're seeming freer.
I'm seeing freer.
You're seeming freer.
All right,
Seeing
good, you
freer.
two. Let's pause really quick. Let's pause. Good. Trent, you noticed that. Yeah, you noticed it. You were like, what's that face she's making, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. And Anna, just remember, if the question arises, are you puzzled? Just state it. You look puzzled. The questions aren't too helpful when we're in the mode of noticing something about our partner, right? We don't have to ask them permission per se of what we think they're experiencing. We can say, you look puzzled to me, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, gorgeous. Beautiful. Let's go ahead. Raina, do we have time for like one more
Yeah.
little? Okay, gorgeous. Anna, why don't you start this time?
Okay.
And let's try and keep it in the realm of an objective point of view for a little bit longer. I know you two are very well versed in just jumping in and being like, you look amused at what is going on here. Let's try and keep it objective for a little bit longer so we can give folks the idea of kind of that very fundamental basic tool, and then I'll prompt you because I'll notice something that's going on that we can switch over into the subjective. Does that sound okay?
sure.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So let's start off with the objective. Anna, take your moment, just noticing Trent. Whenever you're ready, whenever you feel something.
You have a new background.
I have a new background.
You have a new background.
I have a new background.
Yeah, you have a new background.
Yeah, I have a new background.
You have a new background.
Yeah, I do. I have a new background.
Yeah, you do. You have a new background.
Yeah, I do. I have a new background.
Yeah, you do. You have a new background.
Yeah, I do. I have a new background.
Yeah, you do. You have a new background.
Yeah, I do. I have a new background.
Yeah, you do. You have a new background.
All right, Anna, let's jump in. So what does that lean forward mean?
That lean forward.
Yeah, Trent kind of like, yeah, I have a new background.
A little
Yeah.
impatient. He seems a little impatient, but that's not super objective.
No. Well, I told you I was we would jump in if I prompted you.
True. You
Okay.
seem a little impatient.
I seem a little impatient.
You seem a little impatient.
I seem a little impatient.
Yeah, you do. Now you seem a little passive aggressive.
Now I seem a little passive aggressive.
Now you seem a little passive aggressive.
Now I seem a little passive aggressive.
Well, not anymore.
Oh, well, not anymore.
Well, not anymore.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. You seem amused to me.
I seem amused to you.
You seem amused to me.
Yeah, I seem amused to you.
You seem amused to me.
Yeah, I am amused.
You are amused.
I am amused.
You are amused.
Yeah, I'm amused.
You are amused.
Yeah, I'm amused.
So am I.
So are you.
So am I.
Yeah, I'm feeling skeptical.
You're feeling skeptical.
Yeah, I'm skeptical.
You're skeptical.
I'm skeptical. You didn't seem amused.
I was amused.
You were amused.
I was amused.
You
How does
were
that make you feel,
amused.
Trent? How does that make you feel? You were amused.
I feel like you're a liar.
I'm a liar.
I feel like you're a liar.
I'm not a liar. I just got a blank face.
You just got a blank face.
Okay. You two, y'all are goobers. Good job, you guys. Good. That's wonderful. Yeah, just making sure uh not to pump on the gas a little bit, Trent. I noticed it maybe just a smidge when you were like, and now I'm irritated. I wasn't sure exactly where that came from
Ah,
Anna's
sure.
perspective.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Um
Yeah, acting with a capital A there. Yeah.
listen, there are people watching. You're like, I have to do the thing that I've been
Yeah.
learning. No, you
Yeah,
guys
I'm a
are
theater actor. I'm a ham.
Hey, listen. But I will say to Trent's credit, I've watched him the entire first level and a bit into this second level, and I can attest to the amount of growth that you've had,
Thank you.
truly. Yes, I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Okay, Marina, do we want to do one more? Or what
I
are we
think we're
thinking?
good for now. I want to
Okay.
give folks beautiful work, guys. Thank you, everyone. This is the annoying thing that I ask us to do after we do a thing because Terry taught it to me and I think it's hilarious. You're going to come off mute and clap. It's going to sound insane, but I'd like us to do it just to acknowledge these amazing people. Woo! Yeah. I don't hear anyone else but me, but maybe you guys hear each other. Okay, I'm loud. But thank you so much, you two and Isabella, for leading that. And this is in the real work that you're doing. It's very slow. You're starting just with objective, and then we do that for a good while before we move into more subjective observations and opinions. And we wanted to kind of show you what a combination of that looks like. So now I want to open the floor up to our lovely guests. Does anyone have well, first of all, I guess, what did you notice about this? And any questions that have come up for either me, Isabella, our students, about the work or about TKS? This is your time to shine. Sean.
Can you hear me? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for the demonstration, you two, Anna and Trent. So yeah, I only have a brief experience with Meisner through an acting conservatory quite a handful of years now. And I the Isabella, I like your sort of intro and prompting because it was never relayed to me that way, and I think that's why it never resonated with me, why I never grasped it, because I'm just like, am I mimicking them? Am I like when does it escalate? Like when does it actually get into this back and forth as opposed to just I'm wearing a black shirt, I'm wearing a black shirt. You know, like it's like when does it become this connection? Like when is the tissue happening versus am I just imitating who's in front of me? And somehow through us getting beat down of like boredom of the back and forth, will something happen? You know, does that make sense? Like, because that always seemed
Yes.
how this thing was kind of working. And I'm like, so how does this actually work? Like we're just tossing away acting and how are we actually connecting with each other? And so um first that was an observation. And so I guess the question with that observation is over the course of as the dates were just shown below, what is that progression like? Or how do we get from in this case, I guess March was it second to May 7th in the scheme of building out these bones and exploring this and getting to the meat of or the initial meat of Meisner?
Yeah. Marina, do you mind if I take that?
Yeah, please go for it.
Okay. So that's a really good question. It's Sean, yes? Okay. Yes, that's a very good question. And I agree with you. When you're first introduced to this particular method, you're like, am I just standing there like mirroring them? Like this is kind of strange. No, and I'm thankful that you said that because it is so much more than just like the person in front of you, what their kind of like the vibe is. Um, so with the beginning of the class, those first like couple of classes, I think it's the first two, will work purely on the technique of understanding kind of the basics and why they fall into this progression of the 18 weeks for this first level. And then the second class, bleeding into a little bit of the third class, will move into that more objective, Sean, you're wearing headphones kind of thing. You have a painting on your wall situation. From there, we'll begin to sprinkle in that opinionated, kind of subjective point of view. And then very, very quickly, after maybe like the first three classes at most, we'll jump into doing activities. So activities is in a lot of ways uh the like add-on of the repetition exercise. So the activity itself is going to allow you to be really doing something that has meaning to you, that has some sort of standard of perfection. It has to be a certain way. And then it also has to be done in a certain amount of time. And it's continuously difficult, right? We have to be able to really, really have something that's going to challenge us. Through that activity, we'll begin to layer in that contact that you had mentioned, being able to respond to the person that's in the room with you, because you are physically doing something, the other person is just as important as what's going on. You want to make sure that you're still acknowledging what's going on. If you hear something, you have to respond to it. But at the same time, that's where the contact really begins to flourish because there are multiple things going on. You're kind of having to spin multiple plates. Not one, not more important than the other, but they have to stay in the air. And that's where, like you said, that kind of fleshing out the tissue of the actual contact will really begin. You'll start to see it more as it kind of works itself out for the next, how many classes did I say? 13 minus 18 is 15. So then, like, the next 10 classes. And then by the time we reach the end of our intensive, we'll be working on a scene. These scenes are going to be old school. You're not probably going to know the plays that they're from. And that aspect, again, I'll keep some of the secret sauce because I don't want to spill all the beans of how we're going to work on those because it's very interesting. And again, like I said, it's not like another way that you probably have worked on a scene before in the past. And we'll use that text to continue the contact that we have worked so vigorously on thus far with the activities, with the repetition. Yeah. Okay, what's up?
And then one more follow-up, just because my brain just wants to be like, okay, so what are we getting into if we get into this? I'm liking the clarification and dive. So at the point where I think it was the second time, and it's funny how Trent made a gesture that I was about to make in sitting in my seat, like, okay, like, like where would that be? So given that he's already coming in with context and he already has experience as an actor and he's doing that, he has like Trent has a Trent about him as an actor. Like in this exercise, is if that were to come up in class, was that something that you would try and undo or have him shy away from, or is that something that can happen in real time within that, I guess, because he's in his second, like if that would have come up in the first, how would you guys would have addressed that? If like him doing that and leaning forward and then you'd be like, sure, I've noticed that like, is that something you allow to keep going, or is that just
Yeah,
yeah, I guess
yeah.
I'm just interested in like that form of existing and being and doing in relation to how you're, explaining this in those earlier classes and being like, ooh, what do I do with that? Is that's something there kind of thing.
Totally. No, I think that part of me part of me wonders if you're asking that because of the experience you had with, like, are you just standing there like wooden planks? Like, we have to just stand here kind of situation. The beautiful part about this work, and especially even being on Zoom, is because you have such a small screen to work with, you get a chance to really laser in and focus so much more on exactly what you're seeing. Um, and it's kind of the beautiful thing about Zoom in a weird way because you're only seeing so much. So like your eyes better be like boing, 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 like you're really seeing all of it. So a from a technical perspective, that lean forward is just that was Trent's impulse. I don't know exactly where in Trent's life that became the thing to do if he's doing something, but that was his impulse in that moment, and that's not for us to be like, that was a weird thing to do, because that's Trent. Trent's lovely. Yes, my dear. Do you want to add on?
If I may.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the note that I got all the time that really made me know that really helped me know that I would love this work is you have to take it as a reality. She said, "Don't live in Meisner land where you're playing the game of the Meisner exercise."
Mm,
She's always telling me like if you're bored in the repetition, well, yeah, that's because you've been repeating the same word 12 times. Take that as a reality and just and express yourself. You don't have to live in the world of the game. You can live in the real world because that's what we're practicing. We're trying to do and take things as a reality. So I don't know if that's helpful at all.
yeah, and I guess my question now, based on both of you two, would have been, would that be something I would react to respond to in the exercise as opposed to just letting it happen? Because I guess that
If
goes more into subjective versus objective, right? If he does that
Yeah.
lean, is that more of me now being like, I guess is that
If it
something I would
lands in
respond to?
you.
Got it.
Yeah, if it lands in you.
And also, it depends on a little bit when. I mean, I'm not a Meisner teacher, but my understanding of this is earlier on, earlier on in the work, Anna would probably say, "You're leaning forward now," as opposed to
Exactly.
like, "I can,
Got it.
you're getting pissed
That's
off."
my question. There we go.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the
but
question. Like, yeah, got it, got
totally.
it. Okay.
You're
But I
really,
guess
it's
that's for me to
really
be in the
about no.
class. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really about noticing like what is happening in the other person. And I think, it's interesting because I'm going to share something personal. My partner, like my partner who I live with, is actually doing the 2-year program right now. And I said the other day, I was like, you're listening to me. You're like when we're talking, I could tell you're listening to me more. And I was like, wow, this must be from the Meisner. I think it makes you kind of inevitably a better listener because you're forced to really pay attention to what's happening in that other person and notice and respond to it. So I think that makes you a better actor, a better human, and also helps you kind of assess LA to survive the world around us. And if we're able to like actually release some of that and get rid of some of those layers, what's underneath is really more present and we're more aware of it. So I don't know. That was a weird thing to say. Angeline, cut that out of when we send this to people. I don't want them to think, come to Terry Knickerbocker Studio, you'll get divorced. That's not what I'm saying. Okay, I'm gonna stop blabbering on. We have a few more minutes. Any other questions from anybody? Anyone else? Or I can keep talking, I promise. Anyone else? Going once, going twice. Anna, did you have a question, comment, concern? Something
I
you
don't
wanted to
have
add?
a question. I do have a comment.
Please.
I know you said cut it out, but kind of like to add on to that, you're completely right. It makes you realize a lot about yourself, your listening habits, and the way
Mhm.
that you react to the world because you're so now hyper focused on what am I doing and what do I feel about it. Like I'm walking down the street and something that I could completely avoid could happen, but I never would really look into it. And that made me look at things differently. Not only that, but kind of like going back to why I like the online intensive, it makes you listen to your partner a lot more. It makes you better at communication, not with just yourself, not just with the work, but with other people.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And something I didn't mention before, and I think, Sean, this also might help you have some context, is we're rehearsing between every single class. You don't just come to class, you do the thing, and then you leave and you don't think about it until the next class. In between every class, you're rehearsing. In this case, it's on Zoom. Your rehearsal is going to be on Zoom, half hour at the beginning and then an hour later on. But that's really important because in class, it is also considered a rehearsal, but that's a rehearsal with your teacher where they're giving you feedback, kind of like what you just saw. And it's important that between those classes, you're practicing and continuing to build those muscles so that when you get into the class, you have more to work on. Okay. I see a question in the chat from Alex. Terry, we are working on an LA masterclass in the fall for him. So that's what's coming up. Terry also teaches a summer in-person intensive. But yeah, if you're curious about this work, you like what you see, you want to do more, or it seems very scary. I think if it seems scary, it's a good thing to lean into. Because if it's scary, you probably need it. Reach out to me. I think Angelin dropped my convert Calendly. You can drop another one. If you are interested in the spring intensive, which starts on Monday, I do not have any more availability, but apply online and I will call you or Gracie will call you.
I have
And we
like
can
two slots that I opened for tomorrow.
Wow, Gracie's on it. So
Yeah.
if you want to do the spring intensive, book that with her. If you want to do the online intensive, and we would love to have you, please book that online as well. Make sure you apply. So Angela, if you could drop the application and book a conversation one more time. Other things I wanted to say, because you came to this, you spent an hour with us on Zoom. We are waiving the admin fee for any program that you would like to join. If you've already joined, I will talk to you about, if you've already joined something, I'll give you an admin fee waive for the next thing you join. But we're really excited about what we're doing here, and the work is really good. And it's very grounded and truthful. And if that's the kind of actor that you're hoping to be, I think you are in the right place. So those are all the things I have to say. I'm gonna one more time because I don't leave enough silence. That's something my therapist says I need to be better at. Any other questions from anyone in the room?
Really quickly, one more.
Yeah, Sean.
Trent, just really, if you can, like, I don't know, snapshot, elevator, like, how has it changed your approach to text? Like, if you don't have to go like random, just maybe an epiphany or just, I don't know, your new approach, or maybe it's lighter or easier. Like, how has it resonated with you?
It's going to be a smaller answer than I think the one that I would than you might want. But the smaller answer is just they ask us to learn by rote so that we can be open to what our partner gives us, and that changes everything. It really just changed everything because now I'm actually listening. You
Got
know,
it.
so yeah.
Uh, Thank
Great.
you, Trent. Anna, do you want to answer that question as well? I'd love to hear your thoughts. What has actually changed? Elevator pitch in a few words.
Um, Not just the way that I look at text, but the way that I look at myself as an actor. Um, Trent kind of hit it spot on. Like, you have to take it as a reality, even if it's not something that you've experienced before,
Yeah.
and react to like what is not necessarily um written but seen. I
Hmm.
think I had a hard time when I first started acting. I started acting when I was 12. When I looked at a scene, I rehearsed it over and over and over, and I was like, this is the way it should be. And I didn't listen to my partner. This has completely changed the way that I view text.
I love that. Thank you, Anna. Yeah, Trent.
Sorry, and one more thing, which is just that we're just starting this, so in level two, but I'm learning how to do a good imaginary emotional preparation before a scene now, which is making it so not only am I listening to my partner, but I'm involved in the imaginary circumstances in an actual emotional way, where before I had to kind of pretend all that, and I'm kind of feeling it. So that's another way it's changed my approach.
Like a priming, if you will.
Yeah, yeah. And the cool thing about this online intensive is you can join it at any level. Like we have people who are more beginners, people who've done like training and maybe more student stuff, people who've worked professionally. The caveat to that is you have to be willing to put in the work. Terry always says this is not your Amazon Prime version of training. And if you've talked to me, you've heard me say this as well. And I think that's really true because you're not going to get it overnight and it's not something you just show up for, leave, don't think about. Like you're really in this. And yes, you can have a job and yes, you can be in the online intensive as the only one in person. It's a little trickier, but you can be working as an actor while you're doing this. But you also can be at the very beginning of your acting journey. If you're willing to commit to this work really fully, then you will get so much out of it because we all start at the beginning with this repetition and build. Everybody can kind of join that, and it's really